What's going on? Welcome to the Q&A for Producing for Artists. I'm your boy, JDM, Jason Dowdy Music. Welcome. It is November the 14th. It's Black Friday time. Let me go ahead and put on the chat overlay so I can see everybody coming in. One of the challenges I put in the newsletter this week was to evaluate what you already have before you buy something for Black Friday, because even if it's a great deal, if you buy it and you don't need it, it wasn't a great deal. So something to keep in mind. Let's see. Bring in the chats. There we go. All right, cool. I don't see any chats yet, but I'm sure those will be coming in. Give me 1 second here. So we had a couple questions from Juan Lugo. Shout out to Juan. Thank you so much for asking questions. Oh, there he is. All right, cool, man. Appreciate you. All right. So number one, hold on. I got to fix my chats in my Facebook group here. Give me 1 second. All right, cool. Okay. So number one question was you wanted to know a little bit more about Fruity Sends. There's a couple things I was working on in FL Studio anyway, but let me go ahead and share my screen and I'll show you what Fruity Sends is. Fruity Sends is something pretty simple, and I think you're going to get it right away. But let me go ahead and share my screen. All right. So, and I'll need some audio. So I've got some audio routed to track 1 right now. And let me open up the mixer. So let's say you wanted channel 1 here, and we'll just name this distant voices, because that's the type of sound that's coming through there. Here, let me play it real quick. All right, cool. Let me mute that. Right. So we have like some angelic voices coming out of this one. And let's say you had a, I don't know, a vocal bus where you wanted all of your let's say an atmosphere bus, right? Where you wanted all of your atmosphere sounds into one channel. So let's say we want that to be channel 3, atmosphere bus. I'll just put Atmos bus. All right. And the reason you might want to do that is you want to add the same effect to a bunch of channels at once. And I'm going to press Alt and arrow to get this all to the left of distant voices. Now, what you could do is you could actually, let's say, you know what, let's redo it. Instead of a bus, let's put an effect. So let's say you wanted to add some reverb to the vocal. And there's already a bunch of reverb on it. So I'm going to take the reverb off. Here we go. So here's just the vocal. And I'll get into how we're doing that. Now I'm going to move this convolver reverb over to our reverb channel over here. And the way you do that is you just go select preset as, and I'm going to drag it over here. There we go. So we've added the reverb. If you're curious what reverb this is, it's a preset called Blur Pink. All right, cool. So we've added that over. But right now, this track is not routed to this track at all. Now you have two choices if you wanted to add this effect to this, without it being on the same channel. And the reason you wouldn't want it to be on the same channel is you can control the amount of reverb that you're adding. So one way to do that is to just route it to this channel, right? So I'm going to right click, or first we're going to highlight the channel that you want to route to another channel. I'm going to right click and I'm going to put route to this track only. Now, if I turn the volume all the way down on the reverb and just play it, no audio is coming through because it's routed to this track. But as I bring it up, there we go. Now, if we want it, that's the same as adding it on the same channel. So what you could do is, instead of routing to this track only, you could just say sidechain to this track. And then you would still route it to this track, to the main. So now we're going to turn the volume all the way down on the reverb. Oh, hold on. There we go. Hold on. Route to this track. There we go. Okay. And then we're going to sidechain to this track. Now, as I pull this fader up, Oh, hold on one second. I'm not sure why it's not adding sound. Hold on. I must have done something wrong. Route to this track, sidechain to this track. Sidechain. Oh, I have it muted. Here we go. All right. Okay. All right. And then this one is what happened? Now I can't see my master channel for some reason. Bear with me here. Okay. So what a send would do, instead of sidechaining it, what you could do is I'm going to remove this. Ascend can control how much reverb you're adding to this track. And the reason that's important is you may have, um, let's say you wanted to add just a little bit of reverb to one track, and then you wanted to add a lot of reverb to another track, but you didn't want to add reverb directly to every track. You just wanted to have one reverb effect that you want to add to multiple tracks, but you want to control how much you're adding to each track. What you would do is use Fruity Send. So here, let me bring up the plugins, and we're going to look for Send. There we go, Fruity Send. Click on the edge of the mixer of channel 1. It should bring back the master. It's trying to. Maybe I need to right click. Yeah, I did something. Yeah, I'm not sure why. I don't know where the master went. I think I hit something in the view. But anyway, we'll bring the master back in a little bit. All right. Okay, so now we have our send. Now it's not routed to anything. How did that happen? I can't find the master. You know what? I'm just going to open a new session. This is crazy. All right. All right. So we're just going to do a new session. All right, cool. I think I just opened a new one. All right, we're just gonna do a new session. So I'm gonna add a vocal or something. So let me go to vocals or loops and samples. I'm just gonna grab somebody's sample here. Yo, what's up, Ian Hammonds? Long time no see, man. All right, so I'm just gonna add a sample in here. Okay, and we're gonna route it to track 1. We're gonna put it in song mode. All right, cool. Now let's say you wanted to add an effect to this, but you wanted to control how much effect you wanted to add. You could send it to another track. So we're going to do Fruity Send. And mainly I use this for vocal mixing, but I just wanted to show what it does naturally. So in order to send it to another track, we have to sidechain it. So just go right down here, right click, sidechain to this track. And then we've got the send on channel 1, and we're going to put an effect on channel 2. Let's say, I don't know, we'll put delay so it's really obvious. All right, we'll put a Fruity Delay 3 on there. And it doesn't really matter what the settings are for this demo. All right, cool. So now we're going to open up the send. We're going to send it to insert to. And if you rename the channel, it'll have the name of the channel. You know, if you named it delay. So for example, if we rename this delay, do that. All right, cool. So now when we look at we can now see that we're sending it to delay. This volume knob right here controls how much of the effect you are adding. So let's say you had multiple channels. You wanted to use the same effect on multiple channels, but you didn't want to use the same amount of effect on each channel. And like I said, I mainly use that for vocals. Like maybe I want to add a lot of long tail reverb to a background vocal, but I don't necessarily want to put it on the lead. And I don't want to have a million effects channels going on. That's how I do it. So I'll show you how it works. So we're going to turn the volume up. Oh, wait, we haven't added our effect yet. 1 second. That's just making it louder. So let's go ahead and add the, oh, we did add the delay effect. Okay. All right, there's the delay. Oh, we have to change the dry wet. So we want this to be all wet. Here, let me make this a little more obvious. Right? Got all that delay going on. But you can control how much delay you add with the send. So let's turn the volume down. This tells you how much you're sending it. There we go. And that's what Fruity Send does. So I mean, you could get the same effect by just routing it to this, or yeah, like routing it to this channel or adding it directly on the channel, but you won't have any control over how much of the effect you're adding unless you use the direct Y knob. But this is great for vocal mixing because you can just send everything to that one effect and then control how much with that. I hope that makes sense, Juan. Do you have any questions on that? Cool. All right. And then the next thing was here, let me check the chats real quick. Here we go. The next question was about having confidence to play your music in front of other people live in the speakers. So let me stop sharing my screen and talk about that. Yeah, it's pretty understandable. And I really don't have a use case for it except for vocals. Like, so you can just you could put all the you could bus all of your effects onto one channel, and you could essentially use that fader to just, if you wanted to bulk remove, like lower the effects in general on all of the vocals at once, you'd have the ability to do that or turn them up. Uh, that's basically what I use it for. What's up, Rich Hustle? Yo yo. All right. So the next question that Juan asked was, and if you have any questions, just throw them in the chat. I'll see if I can answer them for you. The next question that Juan asked was having confidence when you play your beats live in speakers or your songs live in speakers in front of people. And all I can do is speak to the experience that I've had. I used to be in like an R&B group called Outsiders for Life, and we spent a lot of the time in studios showing our music. The number one thing I would say before you show, if you're worried about showing people anything, your music at all, the number one thing is ask yourself, did this beat ever get me excited? Did I ever go, damn, or woo, or did you feel something for real when you made it? Now, that if that didn't happen, if you were never crazy about the beat to begin with, nobody else is going to be crazy about your beat. And I say that, but occasionally I've had people buy some of the beats I thought were the worst, right? But I would say if you never felt it, I would never lead with those beats. Now you could send those beats out, like give them your link to your stuff, and hey, if they love the stuff that you do show, they may want to check out the rest of your stuff, and they may find one that you think is like, like a B beat, like it's all right. Um, and that's cool if they do, but if you're going to play it live in front of people, make sure that at one time when you were creating it, you got really excited about it and you were like, "Oh, damn, this is one of my best ones," or this makes me feel X, Y, or Z. This pulls an emotion. It definitely has to have a strong emotion of some kind. Now, you've listened to it probably, 200 times. through the mixing process and making it and all of that, making your perfecting your loop and then adding transitions and all of that stuff, right? You may have listened to it a million times, so you've lost that initial energy. So you do have to do a little bit of an acting job, right? And bring that feeling back when you originally made the track. And you need to be the biggest promoter of your beat in that room. Um, like sell it. And that's part of it. Like when I was in the group Outsiders for Life, we were selling ourselves trying to get a major record deal back then, and songs that we were playing, I've heard 100 times, right? And it's old news to me. But you got to remember, this is the first time it hits their ears. And whatever you felt when you made it, you want to exude that emotion whenever you're showing it to somebody else. And that should give you the confidence to play it. Now, if you're worried about the quality of your beat, if you're like, uh, the emotion's there, but I'm worried about the mix or something like that, don't worry about that. If the emotion's there and you felt something when you made it, it'll come through. Um, nobody's mix is perfect, but do the best you can. If you want to improve the mix, you could, run it by an engineer person. Maybe they could give you some pointers or tips, or you could even send it out to get professionally mixed. But if you felt it, play it, and then do the acting job. All right, cool. That's my 2 cents on that. All right, I don't see any other questions popping up. I see you. What's up, y'all? Let me see. Oh, Dylan. Dylan's in the house. What's going on? Dylan DeGrosse. After this Q&A at 8:30 Eastern time, I'm going to interview Dylan for the the Heat Wave Spotlight. We're going to listen to some of his music, and he is a professional engineer. So, when I'm talking about the mix, that would be somebody you might want to run your beat past if he has time to listen to it, right? And maybe he could give you a pointer or two on that. At 8:30, we're going to interview him and get his insight into not only mixing, production, and everything, but we're definitely going to pick your brain, Dylan. So I appreciate you stopping in. And I did see that you submitted the form, so awesome. All right, cool. So I guess for the next part, I'm just going to show something I found out today. A way to make distant voices. Let me open this back up. Let me share my screen again. And I'm just going to turn off the chat to give my screen a little bit more real estate. Here we go. And I'm going to share the screen again. Okay, cool. All right. So I have never used this tool before until today. I was watching TikTok and I saw a tip on this and I was like, ooh, I want to try that. I've never used the granulizer before. If you've used the granulizer, let me know and let me know what you do with it. This is a new tool to me. So basically what I did was I loaded a vocal sample in here. I don't know if I'll be able to get my master channel back. Hold on here. All right, how do I route this back to the master? Now I have to figure this out because I did something where all right, cool. Well, at least I'm getting that. All right, so this is the effect. If I do that, yeah, I still have to run it through there. Okay, so let's do this. Give me 1 second. All right, so I'm going to do it without the effect at first. All right, here we go. So I loaded a vocal, which sounds like, I think, let me see if I can find it. Loops, vocal, should be here. I think this is it. So this is what the vocal sounds like. So just a simple, a breathy vocal. And I loaded this into the granulizer. So when you first open it up, it looks like this. So I'm just going to search for it. Granulizer. Here we go. It looks like that, and you just click there, and then it takes you to your file explorer, so you can, who makes the granulizer plugin? It's a native to FL Studio, so it comes with FL Studio. So you'd click to load the sample, it takes you to File Explorer, and then you just go to the folder where your samples are stored. Yeah, right? I didn't know that existed either. What does it do? I'm not sure exactly, but it looks like it spaces the vocal out, because I use the granular spacing knob, and you can either turn it up or down, and then I played with wave spacing as well, and then I also turned up the panning, and I turned down the speed. So, that's what I did to get this effect for this vocal. So just, like, normally what I do is play with the knobs, figure out what it does that way, and then I might watch a tutorial to figure out, what the terminology is for it. But, here's what happened when I did that. So it gave it a bit of a stutter effect. Um, a granulizer, oh, thank you. All right, Rich knows. A granulizer normally just takes bits and pieces of the waveforms and, like, wrangles it and stretches it. Yeah, yeah. So that's what it's doing. It's taking a piece of the waveform and, stretching it out. Looks like it's re-triggering a little bit. It sounded like it was doing that. So first I did that, and then, right here with the time knob, you can control how close you get to that. So I wanted to play right at the beginning of the sample. Yep, chopping, screwing, doing all that, granulizing. And then what I wanted to replicate was I used to have a plugin called Arcade where it had an instrument called Distant Voices to add kind of those like ethereal background atmosphere voices. Oh, you use Arteria's effects fragments. Okay. All right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, cool. So I wanted to kind of replicate that. So what I did was I added this here, and I added Fruity Convolver. And let me turn it on here. And I went with a preset called Blur Pink, which really, like, it's like you're in the biggest hall in the world. It just really stretches you and gives you that a lot of reverb. You're swimming in it. It's real open air. So to have a distant voice type of effect, it was perfect for this. So let me go ahead and play it. There we go. So I thought that was pretty cool. Like, I don't use Arcade anymore because it I trimmed down my plugin budget, and I've challenged myself to use what I have first and figure out, how to get the same effects with what I have. And that's one way. If you needed a distant voices type of effect, you can do this. You can just use the granulizer and the blur pink convolver preset for something like that, and it really choruses it out, adds a lot of other voices. It makes that one sample sound like, a chorus of women singing at the same time. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then I'll show you my kick trick. So, um, I mean, this beat doesn't have a beat yet, so but I'll just throw a kick in real quick. In general, what I like to do with my kicks, and I learned a little bit from Glitch on this. Only he would drag his kick sample directly into the playlist and arrange his kicks there. But I prefer to work with patterns when I do it. But the reason he drags his samples into the playlist is because it automatically comes in at 100% instead of 80% when it comes to velocity. Oh, who's saying what's up, guys? Hey, what's up, Pat? Fiction's in the house. So what I do is I like to use a pattern for my kicks, like I said. So I'll just put a kick in, and if Dylan's still here, he can give me some feedback on this. But I'll pick a kick. So let me go to my drums. All right, drums. Okay. Pull it in here. We'll go with this one. All right. And we'll go 4. And I'll just add oh, that's an octave up. There we go. I'll just add a few kicks here and there. All right. Well, let me turn off the distant voices here. All right. So what I do is I just go in and I turn the velocity all the way up to get the same effect that glitch has, so that the kick really punches through. And I used to use Diablo, but when I started doing this, I didn't need to use Diablo anymore. I think it pushes it all the way. So it's like brick wall limiting the kick, basically. And then I go to the mixer and I turn it down. I like for it to hit at about -6 dB. And I've lost my master channel, so I can't actually see where it's hitting. And I have no idea how to bring this master channel back. Juan said click at the bottom, but that's not working. So I don't know what I did. Let me go view waveforms, detached. Click the line. Okay, I bet that's Pat. Click the line. Like there? Oh, there we go. Ah, all right. Thank you. Appreciate that. I've never had that happen before, so I wasn't sure where my master channel went. All right, cool. Thanks, Pat. Appreciate that, Fiction. All right. So normally I like the kick to hit at about 6. So we're going to turn it up just a little bit. And if you ever need to know where your fader is, meaning, like if you click right here and you click reset, it's going to put it on 0. If you ever need to know how many decibels it's down or above 0, you can go to this view wide 3, and you can see it's real tiny. You probably can't see it on your screen, but these little blue numbers right here show you how far you're fading it decibel wise. So yeah. And normally -6 is where I like my drums to the kick to land, and then I put all my other drums, under that, especially hi-hats. You want those really low. We can hear you, but not FL. Oh, my bad. That's right. Did you not hear the you didn't hear the distant voices then either, because I forgot to share the audio. Yeah, thanks for telling me. Jeez. Here we go. Let me share again. All right. So you didn't hear any of the distant voices. Man, somebody's got to speak up. Thank you, Fiction. So, all right. So there's the kick. I mean, it's just a kick. So, but you get the idea. Let me mute the kick, and now we're going to play the distant voices. All right, cool. Let me unmute it in the playlist. All right, I need to demo I need to show you the steps again real quick. My bad. So here's the vocal sample. Hold on. Let me mute the Convolver reverb right here. And then let me open up here we go, the vocal sample again. All right, bear with me. Here we go. All right, so here it is in the granulizer, and this is what granulizer did to it when I played with the granular spacing and the wave spacing. All right, cool. Thank you. I'm glad you can hear it now. But yes, see, it re-triggers it, it stretches the audio, and it manipulates just the sample. Then to get that ethereal effect, I added the convolver, uh, preset of blur pink right here, blur pink, and now we have distant voices. There we go. So it's just, it kind of replicates what you can do with Arcade with their distant voices plugin, but you can just do it with any audio sample. You can manipulate it and you can create your own atmosphere, chorus of women singing or men or whatever it is, uh, Gregorian monks or whatever you need. You can do it now with those two things. All right. Awesome. All right. I'm going to put the chat overlay. I'm going to stop sharing. There we go. All right. Thank you for speaking up, Pat. I can't believe I did a whole demo and forgot to share the system audio. Sometimes I forget to do that. Please let me know if you can't hear something. It's sometimes, in my old age, it's hard to remember everything, so I appreciate that. All right, any other questions or anything you want to talk about? And this could be about songwriting, recording vocals, producing, mixing, any of that kind of stuff. Yeah, no worries. Who said that? Is that fiction? Because I know you don't feel good, man. Dude, you um don't feel like you have to show up to this, man. Just, if you want to, cool. If not, don't worry about it. Just feel better. There's always a replay if you want to catch it. But I know your time is valuable, sir. So don't worry about it. All right. So in this one we've covered so far. Um yeah, all right, cool. So far we've covered the kick trick, how to make your own distant voices using granulizer, and oh yeah, I appreciate that, Pat. Granulizer and convolver. We've covered how to show your beats in front of people over the speakers confidently, and we've covered fruity sends and what I use sends for, and what you may start to get some ideas of how you could use it. Um, I think that's pretty much all we've covered this time. I don't see any other questions, so I'm just going to remind you that tonight at 8:30, so in a little less than an hour, we're going to be interviewing Dylan DeGrosse, otherwise known as Dark Matter Productions, who is a professional engineer. So if you have any engineering questions, I hope you tune in and pop up in the chat and ask him any questions that you might have. He's also going to show some of his production and give us a peek behind the curtain into how he comes up with beats and what his approach is and all that kind of stuff. Can you help me gross beat? Wait, who's saying that? Uh oh, what's going on? Dante the name. Yeah, gross beat. I don't use a ton, but I've used it for especially transitions, and I've mainly used presets for that. But basically it's two things. It's time and um pitch, right? It just automates those two things. So I mean, I'll show real quick, what gross beat can do. We'll do it to the distant voices sound. So hold on, let me share my screen. I'll remember to share the audio this time. There's a lot of great tutorials out there. People probably know it a little bit better than I do, but I can at least share what I use it for. All right. So let's go to here and we're going to add gross beat. So basically, you can do things like stutter effects, slow down, speed up, um, and it manipulates, like I said, just time and pitch. And you can automate either of those things, and it gives a nice graphic where you can basically draw what you want. But I mainly use it to like cut things off early or scoop things back in and that stuff. I don't get that fancy with it, but we'll take a look at it. And I would suggest if you're just starting out, start with the presets, right? So here we go. We've got hold, and volume. So time and volume. So here's time, here's volume. And then you can go in here and you can draw what you want. So let's say you wanted it to, you wanted to have like a tape stop effect. You could pull the time down. I think you can double. Let me insert a new one. Here we go. So let's pull this. Huh. This is not what I'm trying to do. Here we go. And it looks like it has to be right. You can't really do a gradual tape stop. How do you get a curved line in here? I never really draw them. So, oh, here we go. Smooth, single curve. Okay, cool. So here we go. So I'm just right clicking on what's already created. And you can curve it by pulling in the middle like that. Right? Gives that kind of tape stop effect because you're manipulating the time. You're slowing it down. And then down here is the volume. So it's the same thing, but you could just leave the volume all the way up, or you could, draw something here. See if I can draw it. And you right click to draw a new point. But this is going to bring the volume all the way down halfway. And then let's say we bring it back up here, for example. Right? And that's what Gross Beat does. But it has a lot of cool presets to give you ideas on how you can manipulate the two things, the time and the volume. So let's say we were doing patterns, for example. You could say, all right, I want this complex 7 pattern. Right? And if you wanted it to be longer, 4 beats is it, huh? So 4 beats is as long as it goes. I doubt that's true. And like I said, I don't use this tool very often, but I have a feeling you could drag this out for 8 beats somehow instead of just 4 bar looping it. Somebody who uses Gross Beat more, maybe you could tell me. But you could do that, and then you could, add a saw gate to it, right? So the saw gate is just manipulating the volume, and then up there you're stretching the time. That's what it does. That's a brief tutorial on Gross Beat. As you can be as creative with it as you want. It's up to you, but that's the basics of it. I hope that helps. Dante, the name. It's good to see you in here, man. You have some amazing beats. Everybody in this group has some amazing beats. So, all right. All right, cool. I hope to God I shared my audio when I did that. All right, cool. Yeah. You get it now? And Dante, there might be ways to like when I use Gross Beat, I feel like the limitation is that 4 beats. So, and I haven't dug into it, but I'm sure there's a way you can stretch that out to 8 beats or 16 beats. But that's where I always kind of get messed up is like I want it to be longer so I can do some manipulations and over a longer period of time. I'm sure there's a way to do that. Maybe for the next Q&A, I'll post that. I'll have to do a little research, figure that out. But you can always, automate it in and out. But 4 bars isn't enough. That's you don't necessarily want it doing the same thing every 4 bars. You may have to create a new Gross Beat for the next 4 bars and a new Gross Beat for the next 4 bars. I hope not. I think there's got to be a way to stretch that out. All right, cool. Well, there's only 2 eyeballs in here, so I appreciate your time. Thanks for coming to this Producing for Artists Q&A. I'm really excited you can join. If you haven't signed up for my email list yet, and the best way to do that is I have a free course. Just DM me, let me know, and I'll send you the free course. and then you'll get put on the email list where we have a newsletter every week and all that kind of stuff. So Juan Lugo, I appreciate you coming out, man. Fiction, Dante the Name, everybody that showed up, much appreciated, and I'll see you next week. But until then.